under the roaring lights of a stadium filled with chants. Lionel Messi stepped onto the field, but this time he wasn't alone. As cameras panned, the crowd gasped. Walking beside the football legend were three faces the world instantly recognized: Ivanka Trump's children. And from the stands, Ivanka watched not as a businesswoman or political figure, but as a proud mother, holding back tears. As her kids shared the pitch with greatness, picture this: you're standing in one of the most iconic soccer stadiums in the world. The roar of thousands fills the air. The lights are blinding. And walking beside the greatest player the sport has ever seen are your three children. For most parents, this would be a once-in-a-lifetime dream. But for Ivanka Trump, it was just another surreal moment in a life that's been anything but ordinary. The video went viral instantly. Ivanka, poised and elegant as always, watching from the sidelines as Arabella, Joseph, and Theodore held hands with Lionel Messi himself, stepping onto that emerald field. The kids looked small next to the soccer legend, but in that moment, they were giants. And Ivanka, she was glowing. Not as the businesswoman, not as the former first daughter, but as a mom, just a mom, watching her children live a moment they'll never forget. But here's the thing about moments like these: they don't just happen. They're built, brick by brick, decision by decision, sacrifice by sacrifice. And to understand how Ivanka Trump's children ended up walking onto that field with Messi, you have to understand the woman who raised them, the woman who's lived under the brightest spotlight imaginable, the woman who's been praised, criticized, adored, and attacked, sometimes all in the same breath. Because Ivanka's story isn't just about wealth or privilege or power. It's about identity, about reinvention, about trying to carve out a space that's entirely your own when the whole world thinks they already know who you are. Let's go back. Way back before the White House, before the boardrooms, before the controversy and the headlines and the endless scrutiny, back to when Ivanka Trump was just a little girl trying to figure out where she fit in a family that was already larger than life. Ivana and Donald Trump, the power couple of 1980s New York, glamorous, ambitious, unstoppable, and right in the middle of it all was their daughter. Born in 1981, Ivanka Marie Trump. From the very beginning, her life was anything but normal. While other kids played in backyards, Ivanka was attending galas. While other families had dinner at the kitchen table, the Trumps were dining with celebrities and business moguls. But then, everything changed. In 1992, her parents' marriage imploded in one of the most publicized divorces of the decade. Ivanka was only 10 years old. And suddenly, the fairy tale cracked wide open. The tabloids feasted on every detail. Her mother, Ivana, became a media sensation in her own right. Her father moved on quickly, remarrying just a year later, and Ivanka, she learned early what it meant to navigate a world that was watching your every move. Years later, she would describe her parents' divorce as devastating. But she also credited it with teaching her resilience, teaching her that even when your world falls apart, you get back up, you keep going. She threw herself into school, into sports, into modeling. By the time she was a teenager, Ivanka was already appearing on magazine covers, walking runways and turning heads wherever she went. But she wasn't just beautiful. She was smart, driven, determined to prove she was more than just a name. She attended Georgetown University before transferring to the Wharton School at the University of Pennsylvania, the same place her father had studied decades earlier. She graduated with honors in economics in 2004, and then she did something that would define the next chapter of her life. She joined the family business, the Trump Organization. Real estate, hotels, golf courses, branding, it was the empire her father had built. And now Ivanka was stepping into it, ready to make her mark. She wasn't content to just be the boss's daughter. She wanted to prove herself, to show she belonged there, and she did. Ivanka took on major projects. She led the development of the Trump International Hotel in Washington, D.C. She launched her own fashion and lifestyle brand, building it into a multi-million-dollar enterprise. She became an executive vice president of the Trump Organization, a businesswoman in her own right. But even as her career soared, there was something else unfolding in her life. Something quieter, more personal. In 2009, Ivanka married Jared Kushner, the son of a powerful real estate family. It wasn't just a marriage. It was a merger of two dynasties. But before they could walk down the aisle, Ivanka made a decision that surprised many. She converted to Judaism, taking the Hebrew name Yael. It was a deeply personal choice, one that required study, commitment, and faith. And it spoke to something essential about who Ivanka was becoming. She wasn't just following a script written for her. She was writing her own. Then came the children. Arabella Rose. Born in 2011, Joseph Frederick. Born in 2013, Theodore James. Born in 2016, and suddenly, everything shifted. Motherhood changed Ivanka in ways she never expected. She spoke openly about the challenges of balancing her career with raising young children, about the guilt, the exhaustion, the constant juggling act. But she also spoke about the joy, the moments that made it all worth it, like watching Arabella take her first steps, hearing Joseph laugh, rocking Theodore to sleep. These were the moments that mattered, the ones that couldn't be bought or sold or branded. And then, in 2016, her father announced he was running for president. Everything changed. Again, the campaign was a whirlwind, brutal, relentless. Ivanka found herself thrust into the center of one of the most contentious elections in American history. She became one of her father's closest advisors. She spoke at the Republican National Convention. She defended him, supported him, stood by him, and when he won, she followed him to Washington. Ivanka Trump became senior advisor to the President of the United States. It was unprecedented, controversial, a move that drew both admiration and fierce criticism. Some saw her as a moderating influence, a voice of reason in a chaotic administration. Others saw her as complicit, using her proximity to power for personal gain while failing to speak out when it mattered most. She championed issues like paid, family leave, and workforce development. She traveled the world, meeting with leaders and advocating for women's economic empowerment. But she was also there during some of the most divisive moments of her father's presidency. The family separation policy at the border, the response to Charlottesville, the impeachment trials, and through it all, people asked the same question. Where do you draw the line between loyalty to family and responsibility to country? Ivanka never gave a clear answer. Maybe because there wasn't one. What she did do was try to maintain some sense of normalcy for her children. She kept them out of the spotlight as much as possible. She prioritized their education, their privacy, their childhood, because no matter what was happening in the West Wing, she was still a mom, and that role, she insisted, came first. When her father's presidency ended in January 2021, Ivanka and her family left Washington. They moved to Miami, seeking a quieter life away from the political firestorm. She stepped back from the public eye, turned down opportunities to stay involved in politics. Focused on her family, it was a deliberate choice, a conscious decision to reclaim some sense of peace. But the world wasn't done with Ivanka Trump. The investigations continued, the scrutiny, the questions about her role in the administration, her business dealings, her testimony in various legal proceedings. She appeared before the January 6 committee. She was questioned about her knowledge of election fraud claims, about her conversations with her father. Every move was dissected. every word analyzed. And through it all, she remained composed, poised, unflinching. But you have to wonder, what does that cost? What does it take to live a life where every moment is public, where every decision is debated by millions of people who've never met you, where your children can't even walk out of a building without cameras following them? Which brings us back to that moment. That beautiful, simple moment. Ivanka watching her 3 kids walk onto a soccer field with Lionel Messi. It happened during a special event. One of those experiences that money and connections can arrange. The kind of once-in-a-lifetime opportunity that comes from living the life Ivanka's children live. Arabella, now a poised teenager. Joseph, energetic and bright-eyed. Theodore, still so young but already showing glimpses of the confidence that runs in his family. They held hands with Messi, one of the most recognizable athletes on the planet. They stepped onto that field, and for a few minutes, were part of something magical, and Ivanka watched. You can see it in the photos, in the videos that circulated online. The pride. The emotion. The pure, unfiltered joy of a mother seeing her children happy. In that moment, none of the rest of it mattered. Not the politics. Not the controversy. Not the opinions of strangers on the internet. Just 3 kids and their mom. Sharing an experience they'll talk about for the rest of their lives. But of course, the moment was dissected too. Some people praised Ivanka for giving her children such incredible opportunities. Others criticized the privilege, the access, the stark reminder of how different life is for the ultra-wealthy. Because that's the thing about being Ivanka Trump. Every moment is a referendum. Every smile is analyzed. Every parenting choice is judged. She can't just be a mom watching her kids meet a sports hero. She has to be a symbol, a statement, a target. And yet, she keeps showing up. She keeps raising her children, teaching them, protecting them as best she can while knowing the world is always watching. Arabella speaks Mandarin fluently. She's learning to navigate the world with grace and intelligence. Joseph is curious, playful, already showing an interest in the businesses and ideas around him. Theodore is the youngest, still forming, still becoming. And Ivanka is there for all of it. Not as the former first daughter. Not as the businesswoman or the advisor or the controversial figure. Just as mom. Because at the end of the day, that's the role she seems to value most. The one that doesn't come with press releases or public statements or carefully crafted images. It's messy. It's complicated. It's beautiful, and moments like the one with Messi. Those are the moments that make it all worthwhile. Those are the moments she's fighting to protect. So what's next for Ivanka Trump? Honestly, no one knows for sure. She's kept a relatively low profile in recent years. Focusing on her family, her health, her well-being. There's been speculation about a return to politics. About a run for office. About stepping back into the public arena. But for now, she seems content to let that speculation remain just that. Speculation. She's posting about her children. About family trips. About the small, quiet joys that don't make headlines but matter more than anything else. Maybe. That's the real story here. Not the privilege. Not the controversy. Not even the iconic moment with Messi, but the journey of a woman who spent her entire life in the spotlight. Trying to figure out who she is when the cameras aren't rolling. Trying to give her children a childhood that feels normal. Even when nothing about their lives is normal. Trying to be a good mom in a world that's determined to define her as something else. And in that moment, watching Arabella, Joseph, and Theodore walk out with Messi. She wasn't the businesswoman or the political figure or the daughter of a former president. She was just Ivanka, proud, emotional, overwhelmed. With love, a mom watching her kids shine. And maybe that's the most powerful moment of all. If you found this story as fascinating as we did, Drop a like and let us know what you think in the comments below. What's your take on Ivanka's journey as a mother in the spotlight? We'd love to hear your perspective. And if you want more deep dives into the lives of the world's most intriguing figures, make sure you're subscribed to Luminoir. We've got so much more coming your way.